What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we cover different comic books from Marvel, DC, and even IDW as well. Except this time we are going to pick back up with DC Comics and continue our coverage over the Green Lanterns in the DC Rebirth era. And we are going to cover another story from Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. And this story is called Prism of Time, which brings us a new character that has some connection to one of the Earth's Green Lanterns. And so if you like today's comic book video, please leave me a like down below, and also please subscribe for more content like this in the near future. But I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. Now, the way this story starts off, we pick up with the Green Lantern and the Yellow Lantern. Remember that at this point in DC Comics, Green Lanterns and Yellow Lanterns are now working together. And so to help make the two Lantern Corps work better together, they partner up one Green Lantern with a Yellow Lantern. And so we pick up with these two lanterns going to Space Sector 563, where they go to a planet that has no life. And the reason why they were sent there is because there was some crazy energy source coming from this random planet. And so of course the two lanterns went to go find out what is going on. Except when they get there, they don't find anything at first. And so for them, they think everything is normal and send a message back to HQ. That is when you have the Yellow Lantern of the group see these green veins in the planet, which makes them wonder what is going on this planet. And so when they go deeper into the planet to find some more clues, that is when they get ambushed by these green creatures. We then pick up on Mogo, where we see the Yellow Lanterns building their power battery on Mogo, the sentient planet that is the home base of the Green Lanterns. And this is huge because this is really stating to the whole universe that the Yellow and Green Lanterns are going to be working together from now on. Now, Hal and Kyle can't believe this is actually happening, that the two corps who were enemies for so long are going to try to work together. Except that is when you have the two corps start to fight against each other, which honestly makes sense because these two have been at war for so long that it will take time for the two groups to work as one. Except that is when you have Guy Gardner and Arkillo come out and stop the fighting, to show that if the two toughest guys of each group can get along, then everyone else should be able to get along as well, which quickly makes everyone stop fighting and actually work together to build the Yellow Lantern power battery. This is where we pick up with the last two Guardians of the Universe, Sade and Ganthet, where we see them talking to Saint Walker, which right now is the last Blue Lantern of the universe. Now, in our last video, they were trying to resurrect the Blue Lanterns by using the powers of the White Lanterns, except something stopped that from happening and destroyed the powers of the White Lanterns. And so now they have to send Saint Walker out there and hope he will be able to find a way to bring back the Blue Lanterns. Now, getting back to Hal Jordan, we actually see him with John Stewart in the command center, where we see them making sure everything is okay. Except you have the other Lantern who runs the command center tell John and Hal that Space Sector 563 has not checked in for a long period of time. And so that makes them concerned, and when John asks what their mission was, you have the Green Lantern tell John that they were going to a planet that had detected a strange energy source coming from it. Now, Hal tells us that he recognized the planet on the screen, except before he is able to figure out where, that is when the same energy source is detected on Mogo right behind John and Hal. That is when a random portal opens up and a random man pops out, and he tells us that his name is Rip Hunter and he is from the future. That the reason why he is here because in the future the Green Lanterns are dead, and then Rip Hunter pass out. And that is when John and Hal realize that Rip has a Green Lantern ring on his finger. Now, Rip Hunter is this character who is basically a time police. He protects the timeline from changing, and his goal is to just make sure the timeline goes to plan like it's supposed to. But we pick up with everyone wondering what they do with Rip Hunter. Also, how in the world did this man get a Green Lantern ring? And so this leads to Rip Hunter waking up, but we learn a little bit about his mission, that something big will happen in the future where there are no Green Lanterns, and he is from about 30 years in the future. But we learn how he was able to get his hands on a Green Lantern ring, because the ring came from John Stewart in the future. Now we do jump back to the lifeless planet in Sector 563, where we pick up with the team of lanterns from the beginning of our video, to come to find out that they are still alive, where we come to find out that their rings have no effect on these green creatures that ambushed them earlier, and so they are wondering what they can do, and that is when they are greeted by a random guy. Now they think they can just shoot him and get rid of him, except these creatures protect him, and he tells us that these creatures are called Prism Beasts, and we're going to learn more about them down the road. But you had this man tell us that his name is Sarco, that in the future he comes from, there are no yellow lanterns, that basically after the yellow and green lanterns began to work together, that over time, things were going great. The yellow and green lanterns were like a perfect running machine, except it led to a point where all the yellow lanterns gave up their ring and became Green Lanterns. It started with Soranik, and the other lanterns fell in line with her in becoming Green Lanterns. This destroyed Sinestro's dream of the Yellow Lanterns. And so Sarco, this guy from the future, is trying to change that because he believes in Sinestro's dream for the Yellow Lanterns ruling the universe. But you have Sarco send his Prism Beast towards Mogo to deal with the Green Lanterns. Now getting back over to the Green Lanterns, we see Rip Hunter tell us that he has been chasing after Sarco throughout the timeline, that Sarco has been jumping around looking for something that could help him destroy the Green Lanterns, except this time he was able to find something, and with him finding this something, the timeline had completely changed, and now there are no Green Lanterns. And so you have John tell Soranik and Kyle to get everyone ready. But while Kyle and Soranik are leaving the command center, we see DC bringing back the fact of these two dating again, because back in the pre-New 52 era, these two were a couple. But with everything that had happened from then up till now, they never had a chance to date or get back into the dating phase. But right now you have Kyle Rayner trying to get another chance with her, and she is trying to keep his mind focused on the mission. Get everyone ready for anything to happen, but the window is open again for them to date right now. But picking back up with John Stewart and Hal talking to Rip Hunter, you have Rip tell him it all begins in Sector 563 with a world that is completely lifeless. As soon as Hal hears that, he is reminded of something. But before we learn what the big deal is, that is when the alarm goes off. And that tells the Green Lanterns that they are about to be attacked on their own base. And so it is now all hands on deck hoping to get ready to stop this attack. But this leads up to a big moment in the story, where you have Hal go confront the Prism Beast head on, thinking that he'll be able to beat these creatures in a single move. This is Hal Jordan, thinking about himself being the greatest Green Lantern of all time. And since he was able to make his own Green Lantern ring out of his own will, except when he goes up to space and fires all these constructs on the Prism Beast, that is when he finds out that his attacks do not affect the beast at all, leaving him confused on what to do. This leads to us seeing Hal Jordan trying to fight these Prism Beasts on his own in space, while the rest of the Corp get all their big weapons ready to go, just unless Hal fails. Now Hal is beginning to realize where these Prism Beasts are coming from, or how they were made, but he keeps on trying to fight them, hoping to win. except his attacks are still not doing anything at all. And so he tells John that he needs to bring out the big gun to end this fight. Where we come to find out the big gun is Mogo. Remember, Mogo is a living planet that became a Green Lantern. It has a high level of power, but their goal is to transfer all of their power of all the Green Lanterns into Mogo and fire one huge blast at the Prism Beast, with Hal being the missile to guide all of the energy in the right spot. And you would think this plan would work because you are talking about a high level of energy being shot at the Prism Beast. This is where they come to find out that their attack did not do anything at all, that these Prism Beasts just took the blast like it was nothing. And so now they are wondering what they can do. But this is where we learn where the Prism Beast came from, because you have Hal tell everyone he created these beasts. Now back in the New 52, Hal used a weapon called Krona's gauntlet, and Hal was on the run, but he used the gauntlet as a way to produce constructs because the weapon gave him a straight connection to the emotional spectrum. But the more he used the gauntlet, it slowly turned Hal's body into the will aspect, and that led up to DC Rebirth, where our first DC Rebirth Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corp video, where we saw Hal had a fight to get his body back, and then he used the gauntlet one last time to make his ring. But he buried the gauntlet on the dead planet in Sector 563, the same planet where the story here started off at. And so you had Hal tell everyone that this Sarco person found the gauntlet and used it to make these beasts. And so you have John come up with a new plan. Send Hal and Rip Hunter to go out there and stop Sarco, so the rest of the Green Lanterns will stay behind and keep the Prism Beast distracted for Hal and Rip to escape to Sector 563, which of course the plan worked. You have Guy Gardner and Arkillo join the battle as well to keep these beasts distracted long enough for Hal to escape. But also we see that after Hal and Rip are able to leave, you have John and the rest of the Lanterns take their rings off, because if their rings don't work on these beasts, they're gonna fight with their bare hands instead. Now getting back to Sarco in Sector 563, we see him talking to the two Lanterns from earlier, where he tells us that with his connection to the Prism Beast, he knows Hal is coming for him. And he's not scared of Hal, because you have Sarco tell us that when Hal was wearing the Krona's gauntlet, it did not just change him, he also changed the gauntlet as well. Hal human thoughts were imprinted on the weapon, and it gained a conscience. It is now a sentient being. Now we pick up with Hal and Rip Hunter talking about a game plan on how to stop Sarco. Destroy Krona's gauntlet, because if they do, well, that will change the timeline completely, because with it being destroyed, the Prism Beast will disappear, but also Sarco's future, where there are no Green Lanterns, will change as well. Now back on Mogo, you have the Green and Yellow Lanterns take off their rings and start fighting against the Prism Beast with their bare hands, which honestly to me sounds like a bad idea. But this is the only thing they can do because their rings do no harm to the beast. And so they have to hold off until Hal is able to defeat Sarco to get rid of these monsters. But of course, they start to get their butt kicked by the Prism Beast. This is where a big thing happened in the story, because while the Green and Yellow Lanterns are losing the battle, you have Kyle grab the future ring of John Stewart. And to him, the ring is from the future, and the ring is holding information from the future that could possibly help them. Except when he accessed the ring, he comes to find out that Sarco is his son from the future. In the future, Kyle and Soranik do become a couple and bear a child. That child is Sarco, and so you have Kyle put his ring on to go find Sarco and find out why he would do this if Sarco is his own son. Now when Hal and Rip get to the planet in Sector 563, they come to find out that Krona's gauntlet has become sentient. Now this creature is ready to fight against Hal, which of course it leads to a big battle between the two of them. But Hal's goal is not to defeat this creature, but to actually find the gauntlet that he buried somewhere on this planet and destroy it. And so he is really playing defense here until he is able to find the gauntlet and use it to change the timeline. Of course, Hal finds a spot where he buried the gauntlet and rips it in half. And this leads to all of the Prism beasts back on Mogo to disappear completely. And you have the sentient form of the gauntlet also disappear as well. But the blast from the creature hits Sarco with the killing blow. But that is when you have Rayner appear just a minute too late to find his future son dead on the ground. And so you have Kyle tell Hal that they need to take Sarco back to Mogo to give him a proper burial. And the story really wraps up with everyone giving each other a pat on the back for surviving this crazy journey. You also have Rip Hunter take the Green Lantern ring from the future back with him to the future. And it does seem like everyone is okay. Except Rayner though, because Rayner now knows that in the future he will have a son, but his son will turn evil and try to kill the Green Lanterns for some reason. And this is where we are going to end today's video. And so guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe for more comic book videos like this in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'm out of here and I will see you on the next comic book video. Later guys.